Millionaires do not chase money, and once you understand why, you will finally see the exact mistake that has kept money running away from you your entire life. Because the chasing itself is the problem. The harder you pursue money, the faster it retreats. And the wealthy figured this out a long time ago. They stopped chasing and started speaking one specific kind of Florence Scovel Shinn sentence that reverses the entire dynamic. Instead of running after money, they make themselves into the place money runs toward. And tonight, I'm going to give you that exact sentence, the precise reason chasing repels wealth while a certain kind of speaking attracts it, and the protocol you can begin tomorrow morning. So let us start with the premise. As stated in Matthew 6:33, "Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you." Notice the structure of this promise. It does not say, "Chase after all these things and you shall catch them." It says, "Seek first the inner kingdom, the right consciousness, and then all these things, the wealth, the provision, the supply, shall be added unto you." Added, not chased, not caught, not seized, added. Given, placed into your life as a natural consequence of the inner state you have established. Florence Scovel Shinn built much of her teaching on this exact inversion, that you do not pursue wealth directly. You establish the consciousness of wealth, and the wealth is then added to you. The chasers have it exactly backwards. They pursue the thing while neglecting the consciousness, and so the thing keeps eluding them. This is what I want to discuss with you tonight. Let me give you the sentence right now before we go any further, because the words carry a weight that no explanation can replace. So speak it with me, even softly. I am the place where wealth gathers. It flows to me now. My word is my wand. Speak it once more with me and let it settle this time. I am the place where wealth gathers. It flows to me now. My word is my wand. Hold there for a moment. Feel the difference between being the place wealth flows toward and being the person chasing wealth down. That subtle reversal, that shift from pursuer to destination, that is the entire consciousness of the wealthy compressed into a single sentence. And what you just felt is the exact frequency this sentence establishes. If those words moved something in you, scroll down to the comments right now and write, "I am the place where wealth gathers." Your comment becomes the first reversal of your own chasing, and it joins the field of people speaking this tonight. Now let me give you the first piece, which is why chasing money actually repels it. Because this is the mechanism almost nobody understands, even though they live inside its consequences every day. When you chase money, every action you take is broadcasting a specific message to your own consciousness and to the law that governs supply. The message is, money is not here. Money is somewhere else. I must go and get it because I do not have it. Chasing is the physical and energetic expression of lack. It is what not having looks like in motion. And the law mirrors back to you the consciousness you broadcast. So the more frantically you chase, the more powerfully you confirm to the law that money is absent from your life. And the law obediently maintains that absence. This is the cruel trap that keeps hard-working people poor. They have been taught that the solution to not enough money is to chase money harder, work more, hustle more, pursue more aggressively. But the chasing itself is the signal of lack, and intensifying the chase only intensifies the signal. You cannot escape a trap of lack by doing more of the thing that broadcasts lack. The wealthy escaped this trap by stopping the chase entirely and changing what they broadcast. They stopped signaling money is absent and started signaling money gathers here. And I want you to see this in your own life because you have almost certainly lived it. Think about the times you wanted something so badly that you pursued it relentlessly. A person, an opportunity, a sum of money. And notice how often the very intensity of your wanting seemed to push it away. The relationship you chased too hard that grew cold. The opportunity you pursued too desperately that went to someone else. the money you needed so urgently that it seemed to vanish faster the harder you reached. This is not coincidence, and it is not bad luck. It is the law, operating exactly as it always does. Desperation is a frequency, and that frequency repels the very thing it reaches for. Now think about the times something came to you easily, often when you had stopped wanting it so badly, when you had relaxed, when you were no longer chasing. Things have a way of arriving the moment we stop frantically pursuing them, and people usually call this irony or coincidence, but Florence understood it as law. The relaxed, receptive state attracts because it is the state of already having. The desperate chasing state repels because it is the state of lack. The wealthy learnt to live in the receptive state on purpose rather than stumbling into it by accident. The second piece is what it actually means to become the place where wealth gathers, rather than the person who pursues it. Because this is the reversal that changes everything. Water does not chase the low ground. The low ground simply exists, and the water flows to it naturally by the law of its nature. The wealthy have made themselves into the low ground that wealth flows toward. They have established a consciousness so saturated with the assumption of supply that wealth moves toward them the way water moves toward the lowest point, without being chased, without being forced, simply by the natural operation of law. When you speak, "I am the place where wealth gathers," you are establishing yourself as a destination rather than a pursuer. You are creating the energetic condition that draws supply toward you instead of the condition that drives it away. The chaser repels because chasing is lack in motion. The destination attracts because being a destination is fullness at rest. And the law responds to each exactly according to what it is. The person who becomes the gathering place stops having to hunt for money because money begins finding its own way to them. Through opportunities, through people, through channels they did not arrange and could not have predicted. Now, before I give you the remaining pieces, I have to stop and tell you something directly, because everything I have just taught you about reversing the chase points to one practical problem that almost nobody solves on their own. The consciousness of being a gathering place is not established in a single morning. It has to be spoken into existence repeatedly, every morning, until it overwrites the chasing consciousness you have carried for years. And the truth is that most people cannot sustain this on their own. They speak the new sentence for 2 or 3 mornings, they feel the reversal begin, and then the old chasing habit reasserts itself. The alarm goes off, the day starts in a panic, and they are chasing again before they have even had coffee. This is exactly the problem I built the Overflow Covenant to solve. It is a 21-day sequence where one short Florence Shinn decree lands in your inbox every single morning. You speak it before the day begins, before the chasing can start. It takes less than a minute, and it holds the new consciousness in place every single morning for 21 days straight, which is exactly the span it takes for the gathering place consciousness to overwrite the chasing one. You do not have to remember. You do not have to fight your old habits with willpower. The decree is simply there waiting for you every dawn. This is the structure that finally makes the reversal permanent. It is $27, one payment, no app to install, no platform to log into, just your inbox every morning for 21 mornings. And there is a 30-day full refund, so the risk is entirely mine. The link is in the description. It is called the Overflow Covenant. Begin it tonight and let the first decree reach you tomorrow morning. Now let me give you the third piece, which is why the wealthy speak in the present tense of flow rather than the future tense of hope. Because the tense of your speaking determines the timing of your receiving. Notice the sentence says, "It flows to me now," not "it will flow to me someday," not "I hope it flows to me eventually." It flows to me now. Present tense, current, already happening. The chasers speak almost entirely in the future tense. They say, money will come, things will get better, One day I will be wealthy. And the law takes their future tense literally and keeps the wealth perpetually in the future, always coming, never arriving, because the word was spoken in the tense of not yet. The wealthy speak in the present tense because they understand that the law establishes whatever tense you decree. Speak it as now, and it begins establishing now. Speak it as someday, and it remains forever someday. When you say it flows to me now, you are collapsing the distance between you and the supply. You are declaring the flow as a present reality rather than a future possibility. And the law begins arranging your reality to match the present tense you have spoken. And let me give you a way to catch yourself living in the wrong tense, because almost everyone trapped in struggle speaks the future tense without noticing. Listen to your own inner speech for one day and count how often you say or think some version of, when I have money, once things turn around, as soon as I can afford it, one day when I am finally stable. Every one of these phrases places the wealth in a future that never arrives, because you keep speaking it into the future. The law is not withholding from you out of cruelty. It is giving you precisely what your language decrees, perpetual futurity. The wealthy broke this habit by deliberately shifting their speech into the present. They trained themselves to say, it flows to me now, instead of, it will come someday. And at first this feels like lying, because the present tense statement does not match the visible bank account. But Florence taught that the present tense decree is not describing the current visible facts. It is establishing the consciousness from which new facts will form. You speak the present tense not to describe what is, but to establish what is becoming. And the law collapses the future into the present in response to the tense you hold. The fourth piece is why becoming a gathering place requires consistency rather than a single dramatic declaration. Because most people misunderstand how the reversal actually takes hold. They imagine that if they could just speak the new sentence with enough conviction one time, the chasing would end and the gathering would begin. But Florence observed that consciousness shifts through repetition, not through intensity. You have spent years, possibly decades, building the chasing consciousness through thousands of repetitions of lack. Every worried pursuit of money reinforced it. And a single new sentence, however powerful, cannot overwrite thousands of repetitions. What it can do is begin establishing the new pattern, and each morning you return to it. The gathering place consciousness deepens, while the chasing consciousness, no longer reinforced, begins to fade. This is why the wealthy speak the word every single morning. They are not waiting for one breakthrough moment. They are patiently overwriting an old pattern with a new one through daily repetition until the new pattern becomes their default. The fifth piece is the exact morning protocol, and the sequence is essential. The moment you wake, before you open your eyes, before you reach for the phone, before the day can trigger the old chasing reflex, you speak the sentence. This timing matters enormously because the chasing consciousness activates the instant the day's demands hit you, and you must establish the gathering consciousness before that activation happens. You speak the three sentences slowly, with calm certainty, not desperation, simply stating what is now true. I am the place where wealth gathers. It flows to me now. My word is my wand. Then you let the words settle as you wake. You do not immediately check the phone or absorb any external input that might trigger the chase. You give the new consciousness a few moments to establish itself as the day's foundation. And throughout the day, every time you catch the old chasing energy rising, every time you feel that frantic pursuit beginning, you return to the sentence. You speak it once, and you re-establish yourself as the gathering place rather than the pursuer. And there is something important about what you do in the gap between speaking the morning word and seeing the visible results. Because this gap is where most people abandon the practice. You speak yourself into the gathering place in the morning, you feel the reversal, and then you look at your bank account and it has not changed. and the old chasing panic rises again. This is the critical moment. What the wealthy do in this gap is simply continue being the gathering place without anxiously checking whether it is working yet. They understand that the consciousness establishes first and the visible results follow afterward, sometimes by weeks, and that anxiously checking for results is itself a return to the chasing energy. The moment you start desperately scanning your life for evidence that the wealth is gathering, you have stopped being the calm destination and become the anxious pursuer again. So the discipline is to speak the morning word, establish the gathering consciousness, and then release any frantic need to verify it immediately. You trust that water flows to the low ground whether or not you stand there anxiously watching for it, and you let the supply find its own timing and its own channels. The sixth piece is the contrarian truth that doing less often attracts more. And this inverts everything the hustle culture has taught you. The chasers believe that more effort always means more money, that if they are not getting enough, it is because they are not chasing hard enough. But the wealthy understand that frantic effort broadcasts lack, while calm receptivity broadcasts supply. This does not mean the wealthy do nothing. They often work with great focus, but their work comes from a completely different energy. They work as the gathering place, tending to what flows toward them, not as the desperate pursuer chasing what flees from them. The same action taken from the consciousness of gathering produces entirely different results than that action taken from the consciousness of chasing. The chaser and the gatherer can perform identical activities and receive opposite outcomes, because the law responds to the consciousness behind the action far more than to the action itself. The wealthy learn to act from fullness rather than from frantic lack, and that single shift in the energy behind their effort changed everything that flowed back to them. Here is the whole picture. Millionaires do not chase money because chasing is lack in motion, and lack repels supply. They have instead made themselves into the place where wealth gathers, a destination rather than a pursuer. They speak in the present tense of flow rather than the future tense of hope. They establish the gathering consciousness through daily repetition rather than dramatic intensity. And they act from fullness rather than frantic effort. Every one of these is available to you starting tomorrow morning. The sentence has been given to you, the reversal has been explained, and the only thing required is that you stop chasing and start speaking yourself into the gathering place before the day triggers the old chase. Before we close, I want to be direct with you one final time. The reason most people never stop chasing is not that they lack the sentence. It is that they cannot hold the new consciousness on their own day after day. The old chasing habit is too deeply worn. It reasserts itself within days. This is the entire reason the Overflow Covenant exists, to place a fresh Florence Shinn decree in your inbox every single morning for 21 days. So the new consciousness is held in place until it becomes permanent, so the chasing finally stops. You can find it at the link in the description. 21 mornings, one decree before the day begins. $27, 30-day full refund. So speak the sentence with me one final time before you go. I am the place where wealth gathers. It flows to me now. My word is my wand. Hold that. And tomorrow morning, before you open your eyes, before the day can pull you back into the chase, let this be the first word you speak. And then, let the first decree of the covenant reach you, and stop chasing what has been trying to flow to you all along.